Imp is still leading this race. He's been almost leading the whole way. Mark Martin and Gaspin were all over his rear at one point. Let's see Mark passing now Leon, who had a terrible start to the race, making up for it now, as it's a huge gaggle of cars being lapped and unlapped in this huge DRS train. It looks like it is Imp in the race lead in front of Gaspin, who's slowly catching up to him. This is a very nice fight unfolding here. Once again, these two gladiators that were fighting last race, Gaspin winning that race. Let's see what he can do this race. Imp needs to do a good job here, or else it's going to fall for him. Gaspin is catching up to Imp. The gap was at 1.3 seconds last lap. Guessing it might be around 1 second now still, but just a little bit less than last lap. Yeah, Gaspin and Imp are almost in a fight here. Gaspin just slowing down a little bit, it looks. Yeah, he's lost a tenth that lap. So, Imp is dominating this race, it seems. But what can Gaspin do? We did something sensational last race. Could he do something sensational this one? Mark Martin, on the other hand, is catching up to Gaspin. This could be a close fight for P2. Imp hasn't won a race in ages. That is quite the shocker. He's been leading the whole championship since race 1. But he hasn't won a race in like 5 races now. That's quite a while ago. He most recently won the Ultimate Roblox racing race in Europe 1. Takashi now finds himself in a position to win the Syndey E-Prix in URF. He's lapping a few cars here. He's lapped Fauna Knight, who's the team boss of the car he's driving, of the team of the car he's driving. Elle and him are having a little fight here actually. Wow. They get passed by Gaspin and Mark. But Mark is all over the rear of Gaspin. Meanwhile, unfortunately for Gaspin, he's not all over the rear of Imp. We have 7 laps to go in this race. Mark Martin is just edging closely to P2. He finds himself on the podium, but is that enough to make himself satisfied after this race? He knows damn well he has had more pace than this throughout the race. Gaspin, on the other hand, is not doing a good enough job keeping up with Imp. This could open up an opportunity for Mark Martin to catch up to Gaspin now that Gaspin is outside the slipstream, it looks. It's very unfortunate to see a driver like Gaspin not being able to catch up to Imp. I was hoping for a very nice fight at the end, but we're actually receiving one at the moment, but only for the P2 spot. Imp has been dominating ever since the pit stops. And now Mark Martin is probably going to pass Gaspin now. Let's watch Gaspin and Mark Martin here. They're on the same set of compounds. Imp, on the other hand, he is on the medium tyres, so no surprise he's running away with this race. He's really showing what he's made of this race. He's not won a race. Let's just say that again. He's not won a race in over 3 months. This man is the current king of URF, but he has not been able to prove it recently. Now he is. But now we also have to find the other guy who's won a few races recently. Chased by the guy who just as recently won a race, only a week before Gaspin achieved this maiden race win. Mark got his maiden first win. Mark is catching up to Gaspin here. Could he sense a move on the end of Sector 2? No, he doesn't. Oh, might it be a move around the outside? No, it isn't. Or is it? Is it around the outside for Mark? Mark and Gaspin are so close to each other. He's really set the world alight here. And Mark makes a move for P2. And Gaspin has to settle down for P3. But we have 5 laps to go. And this is definitely not decided. Mark does have indeed pace. And he might as well just try and catch up to Imp. And carry Gaspin with him. That is one down for Mark. Next one to go is Imp, only 2.5 seconds ahead, and he has 5 laps to change that gap from plus 2.6 to minus 2.6 if he wants to win this race. Oh, what happened to Mark? He's suddenly behind Gaspin. Yeah, Gaspin has made a move for P2. That was shocking. Mark is still all over his rear though. This track is actually sensational, just a shame that not the majority of the drivers that are signed would come to it. Oh, Gaspin with a poor exit out of that turn. Mark picking up the scraps, but just cannot get past here. A lot of dirty air here. You need all the grip you can find. And they are slowly catching up to Imp. The medium tyres are actually shredding right now, it seems. And Imp is not having the best of times at the moment. So, this race is definitely not over, and this might be a 3-way fight for the race lead at the end. It's Gaspin involved, it's Mark involved, and obviously the race lead at the moment, Imp involved. Shell and Melon in the background though, they're having a little fight here. It's very close, and the two brothers, they call themselves, they consider themselves brothers. They are finding it out here. Kanye only recently signing up for the second places in the standings, might as well lead the standings at the end of this race, given the fact that Shell isn't a good team boss and cannot sign any other drivers than himself. I do believe Shell wasn't ready for this race leading role, team leading role, but it is Imp out in front. Not for long though. It doesn't seem like Imp is losing increments of time. Never mind. Yes, actually, Mark has gotten past Gaspin and he has made up that gap from 2.6 to 1.7. So they have gained a second on Imp recently, and they are very close to each other, Gaspin and Imp. No, Gaspin and Mark. Gaspin takes a very wide line through there. Meanwhile, Mark stays very centered into the track. We'll see a difference in driving style here, or is it just confidence? Mark and Gaspin are very identical at the moment, but they are catching up to the race leader now. The leader must be really sweating, and his pulse must be rocketing up to the roof. He is not really chilling at the moment. Imp looked to be controlling this race. Now he's chased down by two hungry sharks around Syndey Park Circuit. It's so close. Under where the bridge was supposed to be, but we didn't have enough time to make it. Now, Mark has made a move for P2. Where is the move for P1? And when is the move for P1 going to be executed? Mark, who drives for JCAP's HRT. A lot of controversy at the first part of the season, where they allegedly tried to sell one of Europe's assets. But that's over, and that's done and dusted over half a year ago already. And we don't need to talk about that. But the man of the day is probably Mark Martinez. He's catching up ever so slightly. He doesn't care about what's happening off track. He only cares about the result on track. He is catching up to Gaspin. Oh, he's catching up to Imp, and Gaspin is catching up to Mark. It is so close out here. We thought this race would be over after lap 20, but it's far from over as they are both super close to Imp. Imp must be so sweating at the moment as he taps the wall, and it's Mark into the race lead for HRT Racing. And the Imp's medium tyres are not lasting the distance. Imp, just like in Brazil, his tyres are falling off, and he might be overtaking my Gaspin here. It's so close in between these three drivers. Imp might be overtaking my Gaspin soon. It is so close out here. The top three are only separated by under a second. Imp takes the race lead back. It is so close in between these fantastic drivers. Holy shit. What are we seeing in front of us? Gaspin for Burstar, Mark for HRT, and Imp for KC. They are all pushing foot to the floor, pedal to the metal, and they are all really close to Imp. It is almost a race winning. It's almost the white flag being waved soon as they are catching up to Leon. He could be very deciding in this race. Mark gets a very nice slipstream despite being in the race lead, and this is very great for him. Mark has only 1 lap to go until he succeeds to win this race. Mark didn't even look like to be in the contention for the race lead at the early stages of this race, but things have happened and we've not even had a safety car. This is pure skill, no luck at the moment from these 3 drivers. They have been controlling this race. Leon makes way for the 2 behind Mark, and he allows Gaspin to go through and make a pass on him pretty soon. I'm quite sure they're catching up to Mark, but Mark is really showing what he's made of here. Mark has conquered so many leagues, but Europe doesn't look to be his ace as Gaspin has made a move for the race lead. Oh my lord, Gaspin and Mark are fully close to each other, and they're almost into each other as the chassis doesn't even allow collision physics to work. Gaspin and Mark are separated by probably under a 10th at this point, but over the line it might be a little bit over a 10th. Imp is definitely out of contention for this race win, unless both of them make a mistake. This is so close. It has all fallen down. The Roman Empire of Imp has fallen, and he might not even win this race. It looks so clear for him at the start, but now it's 2 other talented drivers. I'm not going to add a lot of pressure to Gaspin's shoulders, not even to Mark's either, as they need to concentrate in the final laps, but they won't get the concentration they want, because Gaspin and Mark are fully pressured by each other, unaffected by my commentary. Mark and Gaspin have only 2 sectors to go until we see the results of this race. Gaspin has most recently won a race last race. Can he get 2 race wins in a row like Imp did at the start of the season? Oh, is that Imp in the background? I think Imp's just spun. Yes, he has. Imp spun around, and that definitely sucks for him, as the race is definitely over for him. He's no longer in the contention for the race win, but the contenders for the race win are still on track, and Gaspin is doing everything in his might to keep up with Mark. It's going to go all the way to the final corner now. It doesn't decide it at all. The 2 are separated by just a little bit. Mark drifts around the final corners. Gaspin's chance of winning the race are completely done. It's Mark who conquers Syndey and wins in Europe. It's Imp who picks up the scraps that he himself created and finishes P3 with Kanye, his own teammate, only increments behind. Shell finishes down in P5. There, who might have served his drive-through penalty earlier, he is going to finish P6, but it's Mark Martin who finds himself in the race winning position and will become the man who we will remember as the Season 5 Sydney E-Prix winner.